Recently, I've been wanting to recreate the signature dishes from my favourite pastry chefs. I had to start off with Reynold from Masterchef as all his dishes are real showstoppers, so I thought the perfect way to showcase them would be at my Friendsmas dinners. I really hope you enjoy this vlog as I recreate the snitch, white noise and moss. For the golden snitch, the first component I made was a brown butter mousse using some cream, vanilla, white chocolate and brown butter. And this was the result after whipping it up. It was so fluffy, so delicious, and I was able to pipe it into my hemisphere molds. So next was the tonka bean caramel. I was so excited to use my mini grater and to grate these little tonka beans. The caramel ended up being one of the most delicious parts of the dish, and I ended up scooping out a bit of the semi-frozen brown butter mousses and filling each cavity with a little bit of the cooled tonka bean caramel. For the pear and yuzu sorbet, I poached my own pears and blended it with some yuzu juice, sugar and water, and I got this ice cream machine from Victoria's Basement for quite cheap actually, and it churned the sorbet for around 20 minutes until it got this really lovely texture. Now the honey feather twirls were so agonizing to make in this recipe that I didn't end up filming that much of it, but I did get this feather mold from Cake is Paradise, which allowed me to get that beautiful feather shape. The next morning, I put together 2 halves of the brown butter mousses to form a sphere and made this chocolate and cocoa butter coating. And once you dipped the frozen brown butter mousse ball, it instantly hardened and set the chocolate coating, which was really fun to watch and see. Next, I dusted on some gold luster powder onto my feather twirls, and this took a while, but they ended up looking so beautiful. But they were definitely super fragile and delicate to work with. And I defrosted my brown butter mousse balls and also dusted them with that gold powder. Since I didn't have any liquid nitrogen, I used the ingredients of the yogurt snow to make like a yogurt granita, which I ended up mixing together with the caramelized white chocolate crumble.
Okay, I'm gonna take a mouthful now. Did you get it? Did you try it? Oh my goodness. Oh my god, the caramel inside. That was really good. Like, whoa.
It's the ooze.
Wait, is it recording if you're live? I'll go live on my you know what I go live on? My other private. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go live.
For white noise, the first component I made was the strawberry consomme, where I boiled down some strawberries, water, sugar and agar-agar into a jelly. I then blitzed this up and kind of dolled them onto some strips of acetate and left them in the freezer overnight. For the jasmine tea ice cream, I used this jasmine tea from a local tea shop and made a custard that I cooled overnight and churned in the morning until it became this really creamy and beautiful consistency, but the colour was definitely beige. So Reynold instructs you to create your own mould for the coconut parfait, so I grabbed a strip of acetate and stuck on some cling wrap to one side of the mould just to secure the bottom. I actually made my mold size a little bit bigger than what Reynold has in his cookbook, and I'm so glad I did because this coconut parfait, which was basically a frozen whipped ganache, was so delicious, and it was definitely one of the highlights of the dish for me, and a double batch perfectly fit the 6 molds that I made, so I'll put the dimensions in the box below. Now, the strawberry pebbles ended up being one of the most difficult parts of the recipe. The consomme gels that I froze overnight had, I think, a really high sugar content, so they were really susceptible to becoming soft once they were out of the freezer, and that made it really hard to get a really solid white coating of chocolate around them. For the white chocolate crumble, I gradually added maltodextrin into some melted white chocolate until it formed like a paste, which I put in the fridge to set, and it became quite crumbly after that. Next, I made this milk jelly, which I blended with some Greek yogurt and lemon juice to create this yogurt gel. The last component that I made was some strawberry gum jelly using strawberry gum powder and konjac powder, which I accidentally found when looking to make some ice jelly for some summer dessert.
Okay, pebbles first. This is a pebble.
Oh! I'm so impressed. Let me do another pebble. Oh shit.
Coconut, yeah.
Very good. Yum. Oh, that's very jasmine ice cream.
Yeah.
Like it really tastes like tea.
I use like a local tea plus chocolate.
Oh, that's fun.
And
Oh,
then
you got a tea hook.
Yeah.
For mousse, the first component I made was the pistachio mousse, which was made from pistachio paste, cream and white chocolate. Similar to the snitch, I used the mousse to fill these 5cm hemisphere molds. Next, I made the matcha soil, which was basically a matcha cookie. Now, Reynold actually instructs you to make a caramel jelly for the center of the mousse balls, which you blend with some cream, but mine actually split and I was quite low on time, so I ended up using some leftover tonka bean caramel from my snitch recipe, and that worked out perfectly. For the dulce cream, I caramelized some white chocolate in the oven, which turned into these crumbles, and I blended it with some hot pastry cream that I made. The next morning, I blended my matcha cookies into a soil using my KitchenAid blender, and the soil actually ended up being so delicious and great texture for the dish. Similar to the snitch recipe, I made a chocolate coating using cocoa butter and a little bit of matcha powder, which I dipped the frozen mousse balls into until it created a really beautiful hard shell. I'm not sure if this is the right technique, but to cover up the holes that the skewers left, I kind of dipped some extra coating onto them and then smoothed them out with a hot knife. The last component was the pistachio microwave sponge, but I didn't have a siphon, so I just found a recipe that required a stand mixer, which I microwaved in this paper cup with a few slits cut on the bottom and on the sides. The texture actually ended up being really light and fluffy, but I would have added more pistachio next time.
Sunny graciously picked some dill.
Name drop. Who's Sunny?
Sunny is my personal assistant.
Sous chef. Sous chef.
What's inside?
Caramel.
Damn, look at that hole. Look at that hole. Look at that hole. Dude, the dill must be so good.
Yeah? Okay, that's good. Wait, Michelle, what's your favorite part?
You know, bro.
So for my final thoughts on this whole experience, number one, I definitely think that Reynolds desserts are a labor of love, so be prepared to spend your whole day in the kitchen. For example, here are my thoughts on making the feathers for the snitch.
Literally traumatizing.
Okay.
Slade.
Number two, since each dish had many different components which I had not made before, I personally really liked sharing what I had learnt with my friends.
White chocolate crumble.
White chocolate crumble. Now, what's that made of? Don't say white chocolate.
White chocolate.
That's crumble.
Maltodextrin. It's like,
Is that like what
it makes fats into powders.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I think that's science. We know
Oh,
Finally, I think Reynolds desserts are built on, creating edible art. So I really enjoyed being able to plate each dessert for my friends, and I think this really added to the whole theatrics and experience, which made it super fun.
What do you think, Mark?
Looks good, man.
Looks good?
What do you think, Michelle?
Amazing. It's hard work. This is the behind the scenes here. Behind the scenes. Cameraman doing it right here. I'm here with my boy Mark. What you gotta say? What you gotta say?
He's gonna make sure she's doing it properly.
You could say that.
She's not like messing it up.
Important.
Important that she's not trying to be too creative, but making sure that, you know,
What's going on?
she's
What's
following
wrong?
the script.
Are we in the frame? Are we not?
I think we're in the frame. Yeah.
So I hope you enjoyed watching me create some of Reynolds' desserts. I'd love to know whose desserts you'd like for me to recreate next.